Hey everyone, welcome back to the Cool Water Show, where I almost went to our slogan and not the channel. One day I'll get an intro right, and when I do, watch out, hoes, it's over for you. We'll take down empires. Yeah, we're here on behalf of Silent Podcast, where we're anything but silent. Katie, it is Saturday night. How are you feeling?
Feeling good. Just ate some ramen.
Ooh.
Sat on the couch for a while today. Can't complain, really.
Was it like, did you make it or did you order ramen?
No, ordered it.
Gotcha.
Ordered it.
I will make ramen.
So it was actually good.
Yeah. Like my ramen is good for me, but I once made it for my partner and he was like, yeah, we don't need to do this again. I'm like, okay, cool.
Oh my God.
I think it's because I like a lot of mushrooms in mine and he's a mushroom person.
Okay.
But yeah, I love like eating good ramen. I had some earlier this week actually.
Nice.
Yeah.
It's a good treat.
I don't treat it like a treat. I treat it like a staple of the diet. Sodium, just give it to me.
Yeah, just inject it into my veins.
Literally. Speaking of injecting into veins, I had to get blood drawn from my hand this week, and that was an experience. I've never had that happen.
It's not great. It's not great.
Well, she not stabbed me. She jabbed, stuck. Stuck was the verb.
Kind of the same thing.
Yeah, stuck was the verb she kept using. First she checked out my veins on my left arm because I'm a righty, and I was like, I'd appreciate, because I had already gotten the flu shot in my left arm. Like, let's just damage this one, right? Which I'd get the flu shot in March because I'm starting to work at a hospital, and you like have to get the flu shot even though flu season is like done. But I say this when it snowed today in March, so whatever.
Oh no, okay.
Yeah.
That's not good.
And then she's like, there's like nothing over here for me to get. And I gave her a heads up the last time I got blood drawn, it like stopped working. And then so she actually put the needle in on my right arm and she just went, oh no. And I'm like,
oh, that's never what you want to hear.
No.
Never
like,
what
we're
you want to hear. We're
gonna have to put in your hand, to which I flipped out. Like when I say flipped out, I went, you're not fucking putting shit in my hand.
No.
I'm like, absolutely not. This isn't fucking happening. Figure something else out. It's like, you know what? I'm a blood. You don't even need to draw any. I'm like trying to convince this woman I'm a robot. So she in conclusion, I got blood drawn from my hand. It was not a pleasant experience.
I'm sorry. Well, at least it's done.
It is done. I did find out that I need to go back to get the measles and German measles vaccine.
Oh, never heard of German measles.
Well, I mean, I have been to Germany. I did come back without measles, but
okay, that's good.
Yeah, that was like 4 years ago.
That's always a plus.
Hopefully it's not a long con and like I'm gonna show up next week.
Yeah, hopefully not.
But so yeah, that's my life right now. It's just talking about the needles that I'm getting or have to get. As someone who used to be incredibly afraid of needles, like avoided them for easily over 10 years of my life. I had to get a needle, not this summer, but the summer before, and it's the first one I got in a long time. And they left me in the room alone to cry for about 15 minutes before.
Oh no. Oh, no.
When they heard me stop sobbing, they came in, they're like, are you ready for this? I'm like, I don't know, but let's just go.
Oh no. And then, so safe to say you won't be visiting Dr. Jen anytime soon.
No, and her jabs. I just thought about her intro, by the way.
Couldn't even tell you.
Okay.
I feel like I've never heard it before.
Something like, I can take a jab, but I give the best ones.
Oh, okay.
And like, I honestly got the pun of jab because she's a plastic surgeon, but then like it landed on me today, like, do they mean jab like, oh, she can take some hits like verbally as well?
I think it's a double entendre.
Yeah. So that I had that moment today. Great transition out of needle talk. So we have 2 weeks of stuff to talk about.
We do.
Honestly, like, we don't have a ton to talk about.
I know, it's weird, right? It feels like so much has happened, yet not much has happened.
Yeah. I watched 5 episodes of Housewives today to prepare for this, and I just feel like there's not. Yeah, I feel like it was. I was efficient.
Especially with these seasons.
I did the ones where I had to take notes first, so that for New Jersey, I kind of got to like chill and listen.
Enjoy.
But those were the 2 episodes I probably enjoyed the most of the 5 that we watched.
Same.
So we've got Salt Lake City finally ending 6 months later, literally.
6 months
That's
of our
not
lives.
even an exaggeration. We had 2 episodes of Orange County, which I'm going to say this up front. I'm so fucking over this show.
I'm over it. Over
End
it,
it
over
now.
it, over it.
No reunion. There's nothing. Dude, if there is more than 2 episodes of a reunion for this Orange, unless something dramatic happens, but not to cut to the end of Orange County, you know, when they were like to be continued or 5 days later and it's like grayscale. And I thought something dramatic was going to happen.
Yeah,
and it's
nothing
just
dramatic is
Gina
happening.
and Shannon being like, oh, put a pain in your ego. Like, you think I'm jealous? Again, just in a different state. That's it.
Yep. That's what we get.
Yeah, truly. But then we get New Jersey, and I think we have some fun stuff to talk about.
Yes. New Jersey always gives us some good stuff.
Yeah, so that's your sandwich coming up. You have like decent Salt Lake City ending, and then you've got Orange County, which we won't spend a lot of time on. We always say that. And then we'll get to New Jersey, where we had a lot go down in 2 weeks.
Yeah.
But to be fair, that's like 1/6 of the season. So
I know. Don't remind me. I'm so upset about that. I don't know why they do that to us.
Let's get into Salt Lake City then. So they kind of re-showed the last like 5 minutes of the last reunion episode.
Yes.
At the beginning of this one, which I hate when Bravo does that because
me too.
It makes me
our time
like
is precious.
Not just that, but I feel like they're catering to like the lowest intelligence of audience or viewer. And
to be fair, there's probably a lot that fall into that category.
Oh, I'm not doubting that in the slightest. Like, it's just more the fact that I don't find myself to be one of them. And I feel like you could have given me those 4 minutes with either something more useful or just continuously chop 4 minutes out of these episodes so that it was only a 2-episode reunion. Because if you're not going to have Mary there, and you should have been showing Jenny, you can only talk about Lisa calling Meredith a whore so much.
Right. And like, who cares? At the end of the day, who cares? That's kind of how I feel about it. Who cares? So
the rundown of stuff that we got from the husbands. First of all, I thought it was hilarious how it was like person, screen.
Yeah. They did that. I think it was in Dallas they did it. And they did it last season with Mary's husband, I think, was on the screen. But they also did it in Dallas because like randomly 2 of them had COVID like the day that they were supposed to film the reunion. And it just was such like it just always looks so janky to me to have like people there in person that have one random person on a screen. Like, we don't need Seth. It's not that detrimental. Just don't include him.
Yeah, literally the only worthwhile thing I thought he contributed was when Andy said something along the lines to Meredith of like, what did you think about it? Or about when Lisa said that she slept with half of New York City. And then he goes, well, did she mention that I slept with the other half of New York City? Like, that was the only thing that I think that was, and I say worthwhile loosely there. Otherwise, he didn't need to be there.
Yeah. Well, you know how I feel about the husbands of Salt Lake.
Yes.
I wish they asked him about the used golf balls.
Oh, yeah, that's true. They could have done that. That would have been more worthwhile use of the time. Beforehand, they're all like, we love each other, blah, blah, blah. Like,
Who
shut
cares
up
with them. I know. Do not care.
Shut up. So we had Whitney talking about her business that's apparently doing well.
I don't believe that for a second, by the way.
Ooh, coming in hot.
I don't even know the name of it.
Blue
it has like 5 names.
Just kidding. That's Beyonce. Ivory Rose.
There's no way.
Rose? Am I making shit up right now?
I don't know. I don't even know. There was Wild Rose and then something Beauty, but I don't know which one is the right one because she changed the name. So like, how are we supposed to know? I don't believe that. I think she's full of it.
Well, she's apparently full of money, and
I don't
of course, she is her husband's retirement plan.
Well, I heard he got fired from his job because of the sex scene that they had on the show.
Really?
That's what I heard. Yeah. I don't know if it's true, but I did hear that on the internet.
They didn't even have
sex. Like, you know
it
what?
Was just
rightfully
uncomfortable.
So. Yeah, like you should get fired from your job if that's the display that you're putting on the television.
Oh, well, RIP his job.
Yeah.
And now I guess Whitney does need to be the retirement plan.
I guess so.
So we Oh, I'm just skipping over Jenny. We don't care about her. You're gone from our lives after this podcast. Then we got a lot of focus on Jen Shah and her husband. This is probably the most worthwhile part of this reunion.
Yeah, definitely.
We had a lot of Jen Shah focus this episode.
Finally.
And, likely because since it's the last one and they wanted to keep you coming back for more. Mm-hmm. But we did get a lot of Jen Shah and Coach. So we had an explanation, and I want to know if you believe this explanation, of the phone calls that happened the day of the arrest. So what we're told is that Coach Shah's assistant calls Jen to be like, hey, shit's going down with Coach. You need to come back to the house or the hospital. The hospital, I think. Yeah, come to the hospital. There's some type of bleeding. So then Jen goes and is like, I have to go. There's bleeding. I'm going to University Park Hospital. And she says that she didn't get tipped off in that phone call. Then Homeland Security calls Coach Shah and is like, yo, we're at your house. We're going to arrest your wife. Casual phone call to get while you're in the hospital. Do you think that it happened like that?
No, I don't think it happened like that. I don't think so. I think that he was kind of covering for her to make it look like she wasn't fleeing the scene, but I think she got tipped off maybe by, what's his name, Stewart, at the time, maybe, or someone that is close to Stewart because maybe he had just gotten arrested. But no, I don't think so. And how would Homeland Security get the phone number to Coach Shah, and why would they let him know that they're arresting his wife? That's what a phone call is for when she gets detained.
Yeah, that's good.
Seems weird. I don't know. I don't watch Law and Order that much or any other crime shows, so I'm not like a couch detective, but I feel like that's not the natural flow of things.
I do think that if they wanted to have his number, they could get his number.
Yeah.
But I think you're more likely right that they called him when they'd arrested her. She said that she didn't even rush to get out of there, and it was about 20 minutes after she had left that when they arrested her on the side of the road.
She was rushing on the show. She was like, turn my mic off. I gotta go.
Yeah. I don't know. If I'm rushing, do I stop and tell? Well, I guess so that people don't freak out. I don't know. The whole situation's weird in terms of how that all went down.
Know.
And Coach Shah said he never asked where the money came from because she's been acquiring this wealth over the last 20 years. It didn't just show up in a day.
That makes no sense to me. She's your wife. They've been married for quite a while, I believe. How does he not have any idea where she makes her money?
Yeah.
This is just what, this is the world of Housewives that doesn't make sense to me, is the money of it all. The wives have no idea where the money comes from or how much money they have in the bank or anything. And they just use credit cards, or they assume that money is in a bank and it's being handled correctly. And now Coach Shah doesn't know where Jen's money's coming from. It's all just wild to me. Everybody just pay attention to your spouse or your partner's financial situation. It's a partnership. You should be able to, you should know where the funds are coming from and how much funds there are and have access to the bank accounts. You should know. Take a lesson from everybody on Real Housewives, from Teresa Giudice, from Erica Jane, from Coach Shah. Just learn that as a lesson.
I'll save that question for New Jersey. To me, it's weird. He's obviously not going to be I question it all the time, but Jen did have some sort of defense, which was he's had money for years. He was a lawyer, he's an NFL agent. And
apparently everybody in Salt Lake is a lawyer, by the way. Who knew? Meredith's a lawyer, Coach Shah's a lawyer.
Emily used to live in Utah.
True.
So that means her and Shane. And I think she's tried to build that defense up, that there's been money from other ways besides her. It's just, you don't get arrested for making money legally. That's really
no, you don't. You really don't. Yeah, you really don't.
Have a years-long investigation, and especially at that point when Stewart had flipped on her, he took the plea, and they are now coming at her with him in tow. He is not on her side anymore. So
no.
I don't know. I appreciate that she showed up.
Me too.
But I don't know if that was her best move, to be honest.
I don't know either. I mean, I think this whole thing with her, she's been very she's been very vocal on social media, even when that first all went down, that she didn't do anything. And now she's selling merchandise that says not guilty on it, but apparently people are not receiving it. So
Stop.
yeah. Yeah. So it's like, really, you're really like doing this now, on top of everything else. So we'll see what happens with her, but I don't think she's in for a good ride moving forward.
I can understand continuing with all of it and showing up to get your paycheck because it's one of the legal forms of money you're getting.
Yeah.
But
Probably the only legal form.
wouldn't the Homeland Security and whoever else is bringing this case against her, wouldn't you seize all of the tape from Bravo? Like, why would you offer that much extra any information that could be used against you? Because like it's literally their professional job to take things that you say and make it believable to a jury that the things you're saying incriminate you, whatever.
Mm-hmm.
And I mean, they had plenty of Stuart and her scenes together and her talking about how are they business partners? Are they friends that
Right.
make
Is
money
he her
together?
assistant?
Is
Like,
it, yeah, like
what's going on?
the title changes every episode. So
Yep.
I just, to continue offering this information. But speaking of continuing to offer information, Jen Shaw was the one that told Bravo to put the ring video up when.
Yeah, I'm really surprised by that because I mean, we talked about it when it happened, but I found that very upsetting to see. But I guess that was kind of her point, right? Is that she wanted everyone to kind of like see the situation and what happened.
That it's 2022 and these are people with like no other negative things against them except obviously whatever Jen Shaw is apparently doing, and to like go in their house guns blazing with pointed at kids and shit.
And
so, yeah.
I mean, it's a white collar crime, right? It's like they're not a danger to anybody. There's no reason to barge into a house like that. It's they're committing fraud allegedly, but they're not putting people's lives in danger or physically harming anybody. And the police and Homeland Security shouldn't think that there's a threat. So why go in like that? It's just a little, I mean, we know why, but.
Yeah. And I'm not going to, I want to generalize and stereotype the state of Utah, but I won't. I think you can connect some dots together there.
For sure.
Jen brought it up herself quite a few times.
Yes, she did.
We get Whitney and Jen talking about how Whitney, like very much off the top of the, like top of her brain, top of her head. There we go. I'm like, what is this saying here? That she knew what this type of business and scheme was, if it is the scheme component of it, immediately without Googling it.
Yes.
Because when that happened, we were both like, okay, Whitney.
Yeah, we were like, okay, Whitney's smarter than we thought.
And Jen came at her saying, like, we've never talked about our businesses, or my business specifically.
Yeah.
And Whitney backtracked. Just like, you're right, we haven't, but I knew that this was this. I can't remember why she said she knew what it was.
Whitney's just shady.
Yeah. Andy, though, was just like, but you're getting charged for this type of business. So clearly something is like wrong about it.
Yeah.
So I thought that was kind of interesting because, again, like Whitney was definitely a pot stirrer with all that, saying like she capitalizes on vulnerable populations by getting their credit card numbers and cycling through a subscription without, or making it impossible to leave.
Yeah, she spoke very matter-of-factly about what Jen was doing. So I don't know if it was all assumptions or if she knew or she heard from someone else that knew. But I don't know.
That's like the whole, that's just, I think all this in one saying. I don't know. I don't know. Coach Shaw also said that he was hurt when like all the women basically sat around and just like aired out their dirty laundry about Jen and talking about how she might have been like fucking some other dude. And just like stuff that she's done. Did you believe their response when Andy goes, has there been any like infidelity within your relationship? And they both like paused. Like, no.
Yeah, no, I don't believe that. I feel like the rumors of Meredith and Jen are like too, and the only reason why I say they feel real is because like there's obviously more animosity there than Brooke saying he saw Jen's vagina and her doing whatever on Twitter. Like they already squashed that, as we talked about. So I feel like there was something there with some of those rumors. But it was interesting that they did refer to a lot of the rumors that we saw, and I think a lot of them did refer or did originate from Reddit, which was interesting. I just thought that was funny that they're like, apparently you went down on someone in a steakhouse. And I was like, that was legitimately came from Reddit. Like that was a Reddit post.
Yeah, a lot of the other shows reference the blogs, but they have been referencing Reddit without saying Reddit.
Right.
So no unpaid ads, I guess.
No, I guess
what
not.
It comes down
but if
to.
I made that post, I'd be like, hell yeah. Especially if it was fake. I'd be like, oh my God, my fake post got all the way onto the reunion. Like, what a moment for you.
These idiots will believe anything. My like claim to fame was there was a live challenge reunion, I think. And Wes was whispering into, I can't remember which woman's ear, but you could AOL instant message things in to like questions and
Amazing.
stuff. And the only thing that was read from it was me asking, hey, what did Wes just whisper in her ear?
Oh my God, that's amazing.
Like, little softball care wants to know.
That is amazing. Wait, that's awesome.
Yes, that was my MTV claim to fame. So
incredible. That's pretty incredible.
If anyone can find that, swing it my way, please. But please don't feel obligated to go and find it because I have not felt obligated to do so. Nothing else, in my opinion, really came up from the husbands that is like worth noting.
No,
except maybe like Coach Shaw explaining Jen's days of depression that she has and how her son is kind of like a positive.
Mm-hmm.
But it's just hard to feel bad when it doesn't seem like she's innocent.
Yeah, it really does not seem that way.
And so it's kind of like, okay, I get it, but I don't know if her depression is from innocence or she's innocent and is guilt and being accused of this when really she's guilty and she's gotten caught and knows like her life is.
Yeah, I think that's probably more what it is.
Yeah. We talk about the day of the arrest as well, which they kind of did already, but they got more into it. This is where Andy brings up that like Stuart pled guilty and it's seen as very bad for your case, and Jen can't answer the question.
Yeah. Yeah, she really kind of like drops the ball here. She doesn't know how long she's going to be sentenced for. She really doesn't know, or she says she doesn't know anything.
Yeah, and why though? I mean, for me, I would want to know everything because
I'm sure she does. I'm sure she just doesn't want to talk about it, and so she's just playing dumb.
That makes sense. We had a whole part of it where it's kind of like Jen's arrest and its effect on the group.
Yeah,
that was what like only way I could come up with phrasing this little segment that they had together. And Jen says that like it hurts when people bring things up about her, but you are in the public light and have been arrested. I just don't know what like I think she's funny. I like her confessionals, but her approach to almost everything annoys me to my core.
Yes. It's like there's no acknowledgement of the gravity of the situation. Like it's not like she got arrested for shoplifting or a DUI, which like rightfully so should be something that's brought up on the show. The Homeland Security, the FBI, and the NYPD came and tracked your ass down while filming, and we have it on camera. Of course it's going to be talked about on the way to a cash trip, no less, where things are just generally heightened anyway, as it is. Like, of course it's going to get spoken about.
And speaking of New York, Andy goes, yeah, aren't you nervous? Like they have a 95% like winning record.
Yeah. Yikes. I didn't know that. Yikes for her.
And she claimed it's because most people take plea deals, but she's ready to fight. And then when she phrased it like, because I'm using my voice for all the innocent victims who can't like don't have the means to use
Yeah.
their shut
How
the
does that help
fuck
anybody?
up. Yeah.
How does it help? You're a rich person with a platform who's fighting for yourself. How does that help people who can't fight for themselves? I don't understand.
I'm a criminal that has enough money to
Right.
have a legal defense versus someone who has to take a public attorney. Shut up, Jen. This whole part. I wish we could just get Jen Shah doing confessionals for next season and not engaging, like her just watching herself or not herself, watching the other women and commenting on it.
Yes,
like
I would watch that.
I don't need her in there. I don't, because I just can't stand the way that she handles things. Like, how do you continuously find ways to claim that you're a victim, not just of like this crime and being arrested for something you supposedly didn't do, but just within the group of like, it hurts me so much when people bring things up about me. Bitch, you are on the news across the country. Like, what are you expecting people to do? To keep it quiet? Like, have you not been a citizen of this country for a bit? Do you not know, like, I don't know, TMZ, Perez Hilton? Like, all people make their money off of this.
Yes, exactly.
Oh, it just makes me so mad how she approaches these situations.
Yeah, she is very frustrating. I will say though, it was funny on the reunion when I don't remember, she was crying about something. I don't remember what she was crying about. And then they said something and she was like, because Meredith called the feds. And then she's like, just kidding. And I was like, oh, why do you make me like you sometimes? It's so annoying. I don't want to like you. But that made me laugh. She has good timing, good comedic timing.
Yes, I did laugh at that as well. I did think that was funny. You're absolutely
She's witty.
correct. For sure. I don't take that away from her. I really don't.
I know.
I just
she'll make all the ladies laugh in jail.
Yeah.
Sorry, in prison, because she's going to prison. She's not going to jail. She's going to prison.
Correct. I'm sure it'll be a nice one. It's probably be nicer than like places I've gone on vacation, but they asked Lisa like why she called all those lawyers, and she said it was to find out if anything was on the docket.
Yeah, and everybody comes at her about like saying on the docket, and everyone's like, on the docket. What? And I'm not a Law and Order watcher. I don't really watch a lot of legal dramas, but I've heard the term the docket before.
I've heard it as well, but I feel like it's more like that would be after she's arrested and some things have like gone through versus like 15 minutes after calling all your lawyers.
That's true. I guess maybe she was trying to see like what the warrant was for.
Yeah, maybe. But why would these like
that
random
makes
lawyers?
Sense to me more so than her calling 6 different lawyers for like legal advice, which is kind of what I thought was happening. But it sounded like she was calling them for just to find out information, to see what information they had. And I'm like, oh, well, that makes sense.
All the women could hear her conversations. It was on the bus. So I don't know why. Yeah, it's weird. She's calling 6 different lawyers.
Yeah, however, that's not normal.
It's not like she was texting 6 different lawyers and you couldn't see what she was saying.
She was openly speaking to them.
Yeah. So I think they were kind of just making a big deal of that unnecessarily, but that kind of is what they've done with Lisa for a lot of this season. And let me see. So I have Meredith was told that Jen wants to destroy her. And she also heard it from someone at LV. What is LV? That Jen was Louis Vuitton. I'm like, what is the note saying? My brain is dead, like done. It's just not. It's not here. Like I wrote this so I would remember. I'm like Lisa Van. Why wouldn't I put the P? LVP.
Oh my god! Imagine.
Yes, imagine it was Lisa Vanderpump that called the feds.
Oh my god, that would be a twist.
Yeah, so
sniper from the side, indeed.
Just Todd standing over there, or Ken, not Todd.
Todd.
So too many other people named Todd throughout these series. Meredith did not hold back in bringing up information that has no credible source throughout the whole reunion.
Yeah.
Which I thought was interesting. I would have expected her to kind of come with more fact, but no one really fought her on it. And that's probably because 2 nights earlier, they all saw Lisa just destroy her. So it wasn't she wasn't the enemy at the time, but she never like gave any worthwhile source on any claim that she made.
No. And part of me, I like understand why Bravo showed them this footage because obviously it's something that had to be addressed. But I kind of wish either like it happened earlier or they pushed the reunion back a little bit or something until the dust settle. Because I feel like the whole reunion was people attacking Lisa for calling Meredith a garbage whore and saying that she has a family, fake fucking family that poses. And I'm just kind of like, okay, I get that, but there's been 6 months of a TV show and like no
Yes.
one else is getting any heat, and we're not discussing any of like the actual issues on the show because we're so focused on this one thing. And then obviously Mary's not there, so that also increases like Lisa's heat because Mary would be taking some heat. But even Jen, like I feel like we really didn't get a lot of heat on Jen. It was very easy to deflect onto Lisa, so I almost feel like I wish they logistically worked that out a little bit differently.
Yeah, I agree with you. And I think we also knew that we weren't going to get a ton. Like, Andy's not going to pull the desk lamp over if you're watching this on video. Like,
Right.
where were you on December 14th,
Right. Exactly.
1996? Like, you know,
But he
he's
kind
not
of did with Erica. So that's why I'm kind of like, why did Erica get it so much harder when her husband is the one that committed the crime? I mean, maybe she was involved, maybe she wasn't. I think the suits against Erica were refiled in California when we thought they were dropped. But this is Jen who literally got arrested on television, and she's kind of got some softballs, I think.
It could also be that because Erica has more reason to openly defend herself, I think, because it wasn't her and it was her husband versus like, I think anything that Jen says about it will be used against her, you know?
True.
I think
That's true.
like Erica should have been passionately trying to, like, I think she almost could have welcomed the intense questioning because she wanted to show that like she's innocent. Not that Jen doesn't, but like Jen was the one arrested for the crime where Erica's the spouse of the person who did this.
Yeah. Yeah, that makes sense.
They talk about the private investigator again. Meredith said that she dropped it because
a cyber specialist.
Yeah, the cyber specialist. What is that? What the hell is that? That sounds like a bad CBS spinoff. And
it really does. That's like the one area that CBS hasn't explored.
No, they did like a CSI Cyber or something like that.
Oh, there you go. Okay, never mind.
Yeah, I'm pretty confident that was a real thing.
CBS loves their propaganda.
Truly. It's like the only reason I know about law. So thank you, CBS and NBC for
shout out to CBS and NBC.
And Andy kind of like rounds it up with, besides the whole reflection part at the end, which I don't remember what anyone said because I don't really care about the heartfelt stuff at this point in time. We've had enough of it. Is who thinks she's guilty, and like no one raised their hand. And then Heather like broke down and sobbing, like, I don't care if she's guilty, I'll love her regardless, which is like,
what's wrong with Heather? That's the only thing that I can point to.
I just thought that was such like an ignorant thing to say.
Who acts like this? Why are you obsessed? Why are you obsessed with Jen? She's a bad friend to you, first of all. She said that you are Shrek. And I'm sorry, that doesn't mean you were acting like an ogre. It means you look like fucking Shrek. That's what she was trying to say, okay? You could explain it away any way you want. That's what she was trying to say. And now you're sitting here and saying, I'll go visit her in jail, and you're sobbing on a cat. Like, what is wrong with you? There's something wrong. There's something wrong with her and her stupid cousin. But I already went off about her last time, so I won't talk about her again. But I don't know what the deal is with Whitney and Heather Fairweather.
I'm glad that we're done with them for a little bit. I
need a break.
Yes. They provided us a solid season. However, it just took so long. And
it just devolved into just chaos at the end. Yeah. Like there was no rhyme or reason to anything that was happening at the end. We had two pretty solid storylines the whole season. We had Jen getting arrested, and we had the stuff with Mary. And we had like, you know, some other like random little stupid things that we could have talked about. Why did we focus the entire back half of the season on Meredith's father's memorial and just like fallout of like fighting that just had nothing to do with anything? It just got really like hectic to follow.
Yeah, it too long, and then too unnecessary, I guess, would probably be the word I would use to describe it. But we have completed it. We are done with season 2, but they already started filming season 3. Do you think, right?
Yes, they
did.
Do
you think that they'll move it back, or not move it back, but do you think they'll do like a break in filming and then pick back up when Jen's trial is on? Or do you think that they'll just like extend contracts? Are we going to have a year-long season 3? Like, what do you think is going to happen?
I think they'll do the season as they planned. I think they hired some two new housewives, maybe two or three, because we lost basically half the cast, and one's probably going to go to jail for a really long time. But I think what will probably happen, because it could get pushed back again, right? I mean, like this happens all the time in the legal system. Cases get pushed back. I think they'll probably do a special, or just make sure the cameras can catch what they can, and then put something together like after the fact. That's what I assume they will do if they can't extend filming. But
I mean, it's supposed to happen in July now, I think we said.
Yes, July. Yep.
So that's a long time to film, especially for it just starting in July. And there's no guaranteeing that actually starts in July. I mean, you could film season 3 and then take a month break and probably start and film season 4.
Oh my God, please, I can't.
They could film it like Survivor seasons and do them back to back.
Well, so they did that once. They did that once with New Jersey. So they stopped filming, the season started airing, and then they continued filming into, I think it was season 3 into season 4, or season 4 into season 5. It was early. And it was a disaster because people didn't show up to the reunion because they were mad about things that happened the night before. It was just like, with the show airing and them filming at the same time, it just like made a huge mess of things. It was really like weird. And I think Andy said that they would probably never do that again.
Got it. All right. Well, I would point out for Salt Lake City, but I put orange Mio in my water and I don't want to stain my carpet. So
fair.
They're not going to get
it's fair.
The pour out, but we're done with it. Moving on. Speaking of orange Mio, how about Orange County? Actually, it's orange vanilla Mio, and it's so good.
Ooh, that does sound good.
Every single person I've had try it, they've been like, orange vanilla. Why would you want
I'm not a Mio fan, but maybe I would like that one.
I just sometimes need to mix up the taste of the water.
Liquid IV powder, like the electrolyte powder for my water, and it's delicious.
I have used it before.
It's like 11 grams of sugar in your water.
Oh.
So that's not good, but it tastes good.
Oh, I mean, listen, we live once.
Exactly.
If liquid IV
the world is going to shit, I'm drinking my 11 grams of sugar in my water, okay?
Cheers to Russia. I'm gonna drink my sugar water because you're ending everything anyway right now anyway. So bye. See ya.
Yeah, exactly.
All right. I've said it once this podcast. I'm gonna say it again. Fuck this show.
Yeah, it's not good. It's not good. As Kari will tell you, I messaged her and said, I think Orange County's getting good. And then maybe 10 minutes later, I was like, I think I spoke too soon. And she's like, nope, you put it out there. And I was like, it's true. I'll have to live with my mistake here. It's not good. It's not good. We had a blip, and then, the blip went away. It was like oh, okay, never mind. I got excited for no reason.
I wasn't going to expose you for that.
No, I deserve to be exposed. I deserve to be exposed.
I appreciate your transparency.
Yeah, I deserve it.
Now, so I guess I'll ask you, what did you deem as like the 10 minutes of worthy Housewives content?
Honestly, I don't even know. I think the Shannon Gina stuff, but I don't know. I got excited that there was like an actual argument.
Mm-hmm.
And then Heather got in the mix, and Shannon was like, they talked about the past season, which like really it really sent me off the edge, because you know how I feel about Heather.
Yes.
Bringing up, she's like, well, that's what you did to me. And I was like, I can't believe we're going back here. I just can't believe we're going back here. Mm-hmm. But then it all just died down. I don't even remember what happened in the second half of the episode. Well, Gina did a skincare thing. Yeah.
I have some notes on it that I'm not going to read most of, because one, I've already proven I can't even read my own notes tonight. And two, most of it's not worth reading. We start with Heather's rap party, and literally the only thing that I thought was worthwhile was that Daisy Fuentes was there. Like,
yes.
What the Where
And Richard Marx sang.
Yeah.
And they all sang along when Richard Marx was singing, and I was like, this is so awkward. Like, just watch him sing. You don't just sing along.
Yeah. It reminded me of Beverly Hills. Was that with
when
Gigi Hadid,
Andrea Bocelli?
Yeah.
Is that his name?
On the piano. Yes. And then like there was
oh my God, yes. Oh yeah, David Foster. And they were singing, she told them to stop.
Yeah.
I forgot about that. Yeah, that was great.
It brought me some like flashbacks of that.
Yeah, that was great. That was great.
And the only other thing I guess was Dr. Jen saying that she didn't want to invite Noella or she wanted to like uninvite Noella from her upcoming brain scan party, and Heather encouraged her to disinvite her.
This seems like, for lack of a better term, QAnon science to me. I mean, I know there's no actual science in QAnon, but like it just seems like a thing that people in QAnon would believe in.
I don't know what it does. They didn't give us the full like 40-minute like rundown she gave of it.
Yeah.
The only reason I'm interested is, as someone who likely has CT due to a profuse amount of concussions, I just want to know like what they were talking about and what they were showing, and do I have anything to look forward to in later parts of life or to avoid in later parts of life. But she couldn't even do that for me. It's just, here's this basketball player, here's this. I don't know. I didn't really pay attention too much. I'm just so different.
You can't catch me going to a party. I don't really know. I don't trust Jen as a doctor. Mm-hmm. I know she is a doctor, but I wouldn't go to her.
Oh, I've called her Dr. Jen the whole time, just because I saw online that there's a good chance that she actually doesn't even have like a medical degree.
That's what I kind of assume that she doesn't.
Yeah.
I kind of assume that she doesn't.
I'm calling her Dr. Jen purely out of irony.
Yeah. It makes sense. But there's no way you could catch me going to her party and putting a brain scan hat on, and then like, I'm not doing that. I'm not doing that. What is this thing doing to me? What radiation are you putting into my brain to scan it? Like, let me go to a doctor's office. Let me go to a neurologist, not a plastic surgeon.
That's also
or dermatologist or whatever she is. Why are you scanning my brain? You're not a neurologist.
But
leave it to the professionals.
Means a lot to her dad. That's what.
Yeah, that was kind of sad.
You should have done it for her dad, Katie.
She should have put that at the beginning of her 20-minute PowerPoint presentation, not at the end. Also, why do we need 100 case studies? Just give one case study.
Yeah.
Or no case studies, really.
Like 3 would have been good. Like, here's this normal human, here's an athlete, here's someone in between.
Right.
Not good teacher strategies there, Dr.
No.
Jen.
Also, she was like screaming because she didn't have a microphone. Mm-hmm. Just ill-prepared. Ill-prepared all around. Over-prepared with the case studies, ill-prepared all around in the rest of it.
The only good thing about Dr. Jen's brain scan party is that like it did bring that glimpse of good content.
Yes, a small little pinch.
Yeah. I think that we are getting too much of like a throwback to the early Housewives days, the early like specifically Orange County Housewives days, where there's a lot of focus on family stuff within this, but like none of their families to me are that interesting. Like when you
I don't care.
Kehoe, was that her last name?
Yeah, Gina Kehoe. She was at the party. Yeah,
she was here. Like,
or supposedly it's her because she looks completely different. But that's what they say.
Her son Shane was the oldest one, and he was like a complete asshole. Mm-hmm. And then like you had Tammy's, or not Tammy's, Vicky's daughter, and like even her.
Well, we did have a lot with Tammy's daughters and the OC Angels. I mean, that was like prime. That was prime OC back then.
It just felt like they're trying to kind of do that without really telling us that they were trying to do that. But none of their families are interesting enough for me.
Not at all.
To care about that. So I don't know if that's like their swing and a miss that's happening. In addition to, there's just like not enough, I don't know, like bad energy within the women to carry the drama. Like,
I just think they don't care. They're not friends.
Yeah.
And that, I mean, there's no chemistry with the cast. It's very strange.
Yes.
It's just a strange vibe.
I did like that we got a little bit of the Innocence Project stuff. I think that was
that was
cool.
nice.
I hope Emily does actually do work with them, since like she has money and money can help solve issues. Dr. Jen tried to disinvite Noella, and she like couldn't do it successfully. She was like, "No disrespecting me, or else." That was it. I was like, "Oh, you could have
this
done
is
better.
Really important to me in my business." Yeah.
And then they cut to Shannon and her kids, who were like, "We fell asleep in school," and Shannon goes, "There is no school in this whole country that will allow you to sleep in class." And they're like, "It's public school, Mom. No one cares." As a former public school teacher, when I tell you that kids slept all the time, it was almost like encouraged for us to like let them. No, I'm not even joking. You're laughing. I'm not even joking, because like now the big thing in education is like to care about them outside of the classroom.
Right. Obviously, there's a reason that they're sleeping.
Yeah, like
in
why
class.
is it? And there's some kids who it's legit, where like I had a kid who his like mom and dad, like shit went down, neither could work, so he was getting out of school and working till like 2 or 3 in the morning, and then would come to school in my first period math class just like struggling to stay awake. Like, yeah, those are kids like you feel bad that they're sleeping in class, but then there's other kids who just like don't give a fuck, and that's why they're sleeping. Or that they were up playing video games all night, and that's why they're sleeping. So but Shannon's saying that, I'm like, lady. And we're told to just like let them sleep, especially if you know it's for like a real reason. But other times it's like, I've tried to wake you up 3 times, and at this point you're no longer. I tried. I cannot spend the whole class trying to keep you awake.
Right.
So I just want to put that out there, because Shannon, you were incredibly wrong about what you said.
I kind of like that Shannon sends her kids to public school.
Yeah, same.
I was like surprised in a good way. I was like, oh, nice. I like that.
I'm sure that they have great public schools in the town that they live in.
I'm sure they do. I'm sure they do.
Hopefully those teachers get what they deserve. I believe in you. Yeah. And if you don't, leave the profession. Anyway, so I have so much to say on that. I could run my own a whole different podcast on why we need to change education. But alas, let's go back to Dr. Jen's brain scan party, where everyone thought that Matt's girlfriend, aka Gina's ex, his new girlfriend, looks like Kelly Dodd.
That was so funny to me, how like literally every single person was like, is that Kelly Dodd? I didn't think she looks that much like Kelly Dodd, but maybe it was different in person.
I thought that was so insulting to his girlfriend.
Yeah. Well, I think Kelly Dodd is pretty. She's just a monster inside. And like outside sometimes, but like she's not unattractive.
No, I don't think she's unattractive, but I would just be offended that someone would.
Same. Same. We may have lost Kari. Okay. Oh, here you are.
I was like, did I get cut out again? Come on, Wi-Fi. Stop it. Technology's failing me. All right. What do you think the definition of put a pin in it is?
I have so many feelings on this, okay? I made a tweet about it. It got a slight bit of traction because people agreed with me, but there's a whole thing where everybody's like, Shannon doesn't know what put a pin in it means. And I'm like, you guys don't know what Shannon is saying, because she's saying, I agree that the definition is put a pin in it. We'll talk about it later. We'll pin it, whatever. Heather said, pin it on the board, whatever. I don't know if that's the real meaning of put it on the bulletin board and we'll talk about it later. I don't know about that, but yeah. Okay. Put a pin in it. We'll talk about it later. What Shannon is saying, okay, Gina's ego, her head is blown up like a balloon and you need to put a pin in it to pop it. That's what she's saying. She's not saying the definition of put a pin in it as like the phrase. She's saying put a pin in it to pop her balloon ego. That is what she's saying. Why these women do not understand that. And Andy Cohen also said Shannon doesn't know what put a pin in it means on Watch What Happens Live is mind-blowing to me, because it's very clear to me what she means. And I feel like I am a crazy person because I'm like, How do you guys not understand what she's saying? How do you not understand what she's saying? It's very clear what she's saying. You have a big ego and you need to put a pin in it. Big ego. She even does hands. She's very emotive with her hands.
I agree with everything you're saying.
I think it drives me crazy.
I think the people who are choosing to be argumentative about it are, I think you can make the argument like, okay, that saying does mean something else, so she's using it wrong. But even if she's using the cliche wrong, if you take it in the context of what she is trying to convey, it makes sense.
Yes, use our context clues, people. She wouldn't be saying put a pin in it in the way that like people say put a pin in it, talking it, using it the way that she is. Like it just doesn't make any sense. The context will give you exactly what she's trying to say here. And it's that Gina needs to put a pin in her ego because it's getting too big. It's blowing up like a balloon and you need to pop the balloon. That's clearly what she means. I feel like they're insulting my intelligence here as a viewer. Yes, by trying to make me believe that Shannon doesn't know what she's talking about. Because Shannon very clearly knows what she's talking about.
She knows what she's talking about. She's just like, she's using a common saying incorrectly to describe what she's talking about.
I don't even think she's using it. I think they think she's using it incorrectly, but I don't think that's what it's just the same words as a common saying, but she's not using the common saying. She's just saying the words, put a pin in it, like put a pin in your ego.
If she were to pop her ego, like none of this.
Yeah, maybe happens. She should have chosen her words a little better, but it still is very clear to me what she's trying to say.
Yeah, I agree with you. I 100% agree with you. That's like of these next like 15 minutes between the end of the first episode, or not first episode, but last week's episode, and then the beginning of this week's episode is all based off of like that.
Yes.
Just putting a pin in it.
Yes. Which is where I got a false sense of like, oh, maybe we're getting something here, but we're not. We're not.
It's just the same shit. And so let me see. I wrote down some like summaries, quotes. Let me run through this argument real fast. We have Shannon said, Shannon, me for living your life. What do you think about that whole thing?
You sound a little bit like a robot.
Yep, I can tell. How about now?
So I'm not. Yeah, I think that's better.
Okay. So what do you think about this? Like thanking Shannon many times, or Gina thanking Shannon many times for this lawyer?
I think that. Well, I don't want to jump ahead too far, but it seems that her mom was like, I've been waiting to meet you for so long. You changed Gina's life. Like, I think that really had a huge impact on Gina potentially getting arrested and having to deal with a lot of really negative things in her life. And a time where she already was at a low point. And Shannon introduced her to somebody. And I think she should be thankful to Shannon, or I think she treats Shannon really poorly. And I think she should take that into consideration when she's treating Shannon so poorly, because Shannon really did something that she didn't have to do for her, because they were not friends at that point.
Right. That kind of
and in that clip they showed, I think Gina brought up that Gina brought up that she almost got arrested, or brought up the DUI. But I think she was saying that Shannon brings up the DUI all the time, but Gina brought it up. And then Shannon was just like, I introduced her to a lawyer. I think it's not a big deal.
I can't remember exactly how it started, that conversation in the car, but it did seem like it was brought up unnecessarily a little bit.
Yeah, it seemed like Gina didn't have to bring up the DUI, and also Shannon didn't have to bring up the lawyer thing. It was just like a weird, why bring it up at all?
I do get Gina's point though of like, okay, this happened 3 years ago, and like how often should she be thanking her? And then is she not allowed to get annoyed with Shannon because of this nice thing? Like,
I think she
I'm not saying it's. I think like both of them are at fault because they both just like address everyone else before they address each other about that. But I do understand to an extent of like, okay, this happened 3 years ago, but you like weeks ago. I'm not allowed to be annoyed with you because 3 years ago you got me this lawyer, so I didn't go to jail.
Well, I think Yeah, I think it feels like to me like Gina just doesn't like Shannon and really nitpicks at everything Shannon does and takes it as like a personal shot. I don't think Emily reporting back to Gina every single thing that Shannon says while acting like she's Shannon's friend to her face really helps the situation very much either. But I think like Gina blows up a lot of things that happen with Shannon out of proportion. Like when she's like, "Oh, you're not happy for me and my skincare and you're jealous." I think like that goes back to like, why would I do this nice thing for you if I didn't like you or like
Yeah.
care about you? I did a very nice thing that like changed your life. So why would I be jealous of your skincare line or why would I be jealous that you're friends with Heather? I think it's like connected in that way where I
That
think
makes
Gina's
sense.
like compartmentalizing them and saying like, you make me thank you all the time and you're jealous of me. And it's Shannon's like, why would I be jealous? You're like making something out of nothing. That's kind of like what it
Yeah.
seems like to me. But neither of these women make any sense, honestly.
Yeah, it just seems very like elementary of a fight here.
Yeah.
And I guess it's good that there's like not deeper shit going on in their lives, like in terms of drama. I'm happy for you, but also it's just not fun television
No, it's
to watch.
not fun. No.
Let's see. So thinking to promote and write a hero story for yourself. And Shannon, you need to put a pin in it. Gina said, I feel bad for you. And Shannon said, one day I hope you can get to my level. That was the fight.
That was it. I mean, Gina said, I feel sorry for your life or whatever, or your life is sad. The thing I thought was interesting is how worked up Shannon's weird boyfriend got about this. It's like,
I
okay,
wrote that
relax. Like,
later.
let's relax. Yeah. Relax, sir.
Yeah. Okay, John, we got you.
Yeah.
Maybe you should swing over to the other coast via New Jersey if you want to get that involved in it.
Right. Like, if you want to be with the men, you got to go fly to New Jersey.
And we get a bit of, there's like a group and Heather was saying how like I kept being told that us in New York and you guys with your more fun or who is having more fun, and she kind of uses some evidence or something similar happened of like who's having more fun, but like Noella like just wouldn't let Heather finish the sentence, which if you don't like her was probably funny. If you don't like Noella, you probably are like shut up and share since.
Yeah.
Am I back? Am I back?
You're back. You're back.
Jesus, I don't know what's going on with this. Internet, I hate you. Let's just do this over a phone call. Landlines even. No cell phones. Ugh. Yeah, I think that rivalry is also just tiring, but it looks like we're going to get more of it.
I think it's well, you know, I don't like Heather, but I think it's like if I were Noella, I would take pleasure in being able to get under Heather's skin because Heather is always the one that wants to have the upper hand and is always like, you're having a psychotic break. And she like can't even be near Noella. She has to leave the situation because that's how bothered she is. And that would make me feel good if I were Noella because I'd be like, well, you can't even stand around me. I'm not even doing anything. I'm just giving my opinion. You have to walk away. Like that's a you problem.
I just find Noella to be forcing so much.
Yes, me too. She's very annoying.
Like, I just can't defend her in this.
No, I don't like either one of them.
Yeah. I like Heather more than I like Noella. But I think that's just because Heather will engage and bring out like both good and bad in all of the cast, where Noella is so hyper focused on being a bitch to Heather that it just like is becoming so annoying. Like, I don't know. So that was that. I did, or then you have a little bit of like Shannon and Heather who were just like, Shannon's like, I'm nothing but a supportive friend, and Heather's like, you don't tell people you're supportive, you show them. To which,
yeah, I just find the whole Heather and Shannon thing very exhausting because I just don't see the reason for it.
Yeah, I don't know if Bravo is trying to make it seem like they don't get along as well as they actually do, because it does feel like Shannon kind of takes it more positively than if they didn't. You know what I mean? Like, I feel like we have a little bit of a false sense of understanding of where their relationship is.
Yeah.
Even said later on, she's like, I wish she the same way that she talks about a Noella. I don't know. It just was like Heather being very Heather in their relationship.
Yeah, I get that sense too. I think you're right. Like if those were generally or genuinely like they had animosity for each other, then I don't think that Shannon would let it roll off of her back the way that she does.
Yeah.
And she does let it roll off her back, I think, a lot. She doesn't cause issues. I think the one time in this episode that we're specifically talking about that she got annoyed was when Heather was like, well, you don't like it when people call you things like that. And she's like, are you kidding me? You called me like scary angry or whatever. And she's like, we're really going back here. And I was totally, I mean, I am usually on Shannon's side, but I was totally on Shannon's side here too. Like, why are you bringing that up? Why are you bringing up ancient history? And it's not the same thing.
No, I agree.
And Heather was awful to Shannon back then. Awful to her. So
she was.
Yeah.
She absolutely was. That was the end of the party. We get Noella talking about her dad in the episode, who then we find out passes away. And
yeah, that was sad.
Yeah. She talks about like regretting not having a relationship with her father. Another point, they start talking about planning for their trip to Aspen, which at the end of the episode, they made it seem like shit's gonna go down, but it looks like we're just having the same fight over and over between Gina and Shannon, as well as Noella and Heather.
Yep.
But I did think that it did come up here where Shannon really is starting to realize, like, Emily's stirring the pot. Emily is being a housewife, and Shannon's finally starting to realize it.
Yes. And I think I think finally we're starting, hopefully going to see it come back to Emily a little bit, that like she's really in the middle of all of this and causing all of this trouble. I don't think Gina will ever do anything about it. I think Shannon will be the one to call it Emily, but I don't think Gina cares because Gina just doesn't like Shannon. So why is she going to care?
What did you think of Emily and Gina in their experience with the extraction of the spirit?
Oh my God. We've truly hit a low point in Housewives with this. We're extracting a woman is pulling a fake spirit out of her mouth and throwing it out the window. Like, what are we watching?
Do you think that Emily fell over on the couch because she didn't want Gina blowing the spirit on her? Or do you think she used it as a way to cover up her face so you couldn't tell she was hysterically laughing at what she was watching?
Maybe she fell over because she was just embarrassed for being in this scene and that this is something that's happening, period. Because what are we doing? What are we doing?
Was the window even open when the
I don't think the window was open. I don't know, but I don't think the window was open.
It's still in the house. It's in Emily.
Yeah, it's just floating around in the house. Yeah, but now it's in Emily.
The last part is we get Gina's launch party, and I feel like we were at a launch party for a while, and I only have 2 things written down. I have Heather plus Gina equals BFF.
Yeah.
I have Gina's parents saying Shannon for the lawyer. That's it. That's all I've written down from that party.
Yeah, nothing happened at this party. And I think just generally, I don't know why Gina's making a skincare line. Like, I don't know Gina to be into skincare or to talk about her skin ever. Or, I mean, she's got good skin, but it just seems like who cares? Is she doing anything or is she just putting her name on it?
I thought she said she was doing stuff with it. Didn't she say she had like bad acne or something?
Maybe.
I don't know.
I will not be purchasing it.
I mean,
we have so many skincare to choose from. We have Ageless by Ramona. We have Wild Rose or whatever the name of this. Iris and Beau was that just came to me.
Oh, there you go.
We have this one. I feel like we have many more skincare lines out there as well that I'm just not thinking of.
I talk about skincare. I do my skin, but I also don't put So I just don't have to cut out in my back.
You're a little bit of a robot, so I don't really know what you're saying. What you're saying right now.
I hate it. Why are you doing this? Internet, stop.
Live TV, everyone, except it's not TV.
Yeah. My Eero says that I have internet. Am I robot-y?
I can hear you. Your video is frozen, but I can hear you, which is more important.
I mean, you don't need to see me. It's a punishment. You have to see me. Yeah, I was saying I just don't know jack shit about skincare, so I'm the worst person to even like ask about it.
That's fair.
But that was it. I think they ended it peacefully so that they could do that dramatic like grayscale 5 days later on their Aspen trip. But I'm only watching this because I have the podcast about it. Mm-hmm. I would have probably stopped 2 to 3 weeks ago.
Yeah, I didn't watch last season. I touched in here and there, but I did not. Yeah. I didn't watch to completion. I boycotted because of Kelly Dodd mostly, but also
understandable. I mean, she deserves to be boycotted.
Yeah.
So, all right. Well, last but not least, we have New Jersey, and
yes.
As we know, Katie is our fearless leader when it comes to New Jersey because I have only watched this season. But
yeah. I think we're at a point now where I feel like the past doesn't really like we're current to what's going on in this season now.
I do feel like I understand. I feel more comfortable than I did the first like 3 to 4 weeks, definitely.
Yeah.
So we have 2 weeks to talk about. Mm-hmm. And I wish I had written down where we started. Do you remember where we started?
Yes, we started with the men at a bar.
Yes. Okay.
Sitting outside. That was where that episode picked up. And basically just all the men started attacking Bill about Jennifer. And Evan specifically was telling Bill that his wife is a horrible person and getting mad that Bill was saying, "Don't call my wife a horrible person." Strange. Like, why would he let people call his wife a horrible person? And why would you expect him not to be mad? Like, do you think he's going to agree? I just don't get it.
Yeah. Like, what position are you trying to put him in here that is going to be successful for anyone? He was the one that cheated. It's his wife who's running her mouth to kind of protect herself in a way.
Yeah.
And what do you like tell her to shut up when he like caused this, I guess, given it was a decade ago? Like what do they possibly want? It just seems like the men were flexing to flex in this opportunity.
Yeah, I'm tired of this. That I think I tweeted during this episode that like we're at the first or second commercial break and I haven't seen one housewife yet. Like too much men. I don't watch this show for the house husbands. I watch it for the housewives. Mm-hmm. You could be in the background, but you shouldn't be driving the story forward. I don't need this. Yeah, they're leaning in a little too much on the husbands this season.
Yeah, I just it's weird, I guess, because I'm not used to it, and so
yeah,
I don't know what they wanted from him, but I also think that Bill could be doing something more. I just don't know what it is.
Again, like to stop Jennifer from acting this way?
No, just like in general. Like he has to be able to like support this situation more. And I think maybe the easiest way would be like, I was the one that did this. She was trying to protect our family. If you want to use like this infidelity against anyone, stop using it as a way to go at her. You should be using, if you want to bring it up to me, fine, I'll deal with it. But like, and then you could kind of even say like, my wife gives you plenty of reasons for you to not like her, but this shouldn't be it.
This isn't one. Yeah, exactly.
That's probably the route I wish he would go.
Yeah. I wish he would do that too. Take some responsibility and accountability for your actions. Don't let your wife, who already had to bottle this up for 10 years, have to now clean up your mess.
And he even says later on, he's like, I'm not going to deal with them anymore. Like, oh, okay, just run from your issues that are causing issues for other people. That's fine. Run. Yeah. Go ahead, Forrest.
Yeah, I don't think it works that way, Bill. You're on TV. Yeah.
All right, what do we have next? We had the men at dinner.
They also were
growing out.
asking Tiki Barber specifically, you know how I feel about Tiki Barber and his wife. We're asking a lot of questions to Louis when Louis showed up about the abusive allegation or the allegations of abuse. And Tiki just kept bringing it up. And then Louis said a story that his ex-girlfriend, fiance, stabbed her previous partner, husband, fiance, boyfriend, something with took a knife and stabbed him. And whatever this situation is with Louis, I don't think he's like a great guy by any means, but I think that there is some truth to some of these women finding out that he's with Teresa, that he's going to be on the show, and putting all of these things out there. Because there was one story that I had read, and I'll try and find it for the next time that we talk, but it just sounded like a very toxic situation with both of them. Like she was also abusive and so was he. I think it was just an abusive relationship in general. Not that that excuses him in any way, but I do think it was, I think it was tit for tat with them. So I don't know if any, I don't know what's true and what's not true. But I just think it's weird. There's rumors about all of them out there. It's weird that like everybody is so comfortable talking about this, but it's like Evan is so precious that Teresa can't say, oh, supposedly he was cheating at the gym. That's the end of the world.
Yeah. Yeah. I don't really feel great about Louis, and I kind of feel sad that Teresa is so caught up in Louis because I mean, she relies so much on like we all have a past, but if your past is something that can harm your present or future, then that is worth considering. And I wish she would, because I don't get good vibes from this guy.
No, and it kind of reminds me of something, and I don't know if you remember this, but in Ultimate Girls Trip, when Luann was talking about going on a date or getting set up with someone, and then he Googled her and found out she was in jail, and then he ghosted her, and she got very sad. You know, she was like, this is the first thing that comes up about me, and she was really upset about it. I think some of that can apply to Teresa as well. Like she went to prison for a year, 11 months or 11 and a half months. And that was very public. And this guy is kind of seeing past that with her and not letting her past define her. So I think she is affording him that same consideration.
Yeah, that makes
but
sense.
He's also not like a great guy. And I think the general consensus around Teresa is that like she really didn't know what Joe Giudice was doing. Like it's not like an Erica situation or a Jen Shaw situation where it's like maybe she's guilty. I truly think her husband made her sign something. She didn't know she was signing it, and then she ended up having to go to jail for it. I think that's the general consensus around her situation. You can make a judgment when you watch, but that's I think just the general feeling is that she really wasn't guilty.
Yeah, I mean that sounds like what has been, as a new viewer, that's what they want me to think. So
yeah.
I just had to pull up the cast because I was trying to think of Margaret, and I kept wanting to call her Meredith, and no other M name was coming to my head. I'm like, I know it's an M. Sorry. Okay. So yeah, I'm not in on Louis. I know they're engaged now, which is not great.
And they're not getting a prenup.
What?
Yeah, she said that on Watch What Happens Live, and Andy's really been going in. A lot of people have been like, "You need to," and she's like, "He has more money than me," but I don't know.
Doesn't mean anything.
No, yeah.
And I don't even have money, and I would get a prenup.
Yeah, I know. And she had one with Joe, so it's surprising that she wouldn't have one with him.
That's dumb. Sorry, Teresa. That's dumb. Okay. So,
my girl.
Where do we go after that in the?
I think that we have the men filling in the women about all of these stories, and they're like, oh well, he's discrediting victims and he's discrediting the women, which like, okay, but like maybe not. Like yeah, if this were true, yes, that is what he's doing. I'm not saying it's not true, but like, is it true, or are these like, I don't know. It's all just very strange. The rumors came from an anonymous source, as Frank Catania said. So brazenly. It came from Anon. So I don't know. it's all very, listen, I support women and victims. So if it's true, then fuck Louis. But
Yeah,
I don't know. The whole thing just smells a little fishy.
I agree. Next, do we get Dolores and her whole story? Because she's got a bit of a story going on. I like
her
Dolores.
mom. Yeah, I like Dolores. I like Dolores. She's a good like centered person. Like she's a good like she's grounded. She's pretty normal. She's a good head on her shoulders. She'll go off here and there, but she's a good housewife.
Yeah, I like her. So mom's in ICU because she just had a triple bypass.
Yes. And this was a storyline a couple of seasons ago where they talked about how her mom like eats cake for breakfast and doesn't take care of herself and never has had a vegetable. So it's kind of surprising that like a few years ago we were talking about this and now she's getting surgery, but I'm glad that they discovered it before anything bad happened to her. And David, her ex, is taking care of her.
Yeah. First, not to get too medical, but if I understand triple bypass right, which I could be incredibly wrong, because don't we have like 4 arteries coming out of our heart? So that means they had to like clear out 3 of them.
I think so, yeah.
So
it's pretty bad.
Yeah. Okay. Just checking because I know like my grandma had something similar.
Yeah.
Yeah, and then this whole ex, like this situation is very strange for a breakup for me.
It is, yeah.
Like I know in my breakups, anyone who's like a legit ex, like they get blocked and excommunicated within 5 to 7 minutes of us breaking up.
Same.
No, literally right then and there. Like the last
you have to cut it off.
Is open up my social, is where I go to say dumb things and then saying dumber things that I now have to
like no, I don't need to be exposed to that. I'm good.
Yeah. So the fact that this ex is talking to everyone in her family and is even like the caretaker for her mother.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, but I think that is like a level of petty that.
Yeah, you think so?
Yeah. Like, what are you trying to prove that like you won't talk to her?
That's true.
All?
Like what, you think you're such a good, like you're a hero?
But you're doing so much other shit in her direct immediate circle, like her immediate family. You're doing all this caring, supportive shit and you will talk to everyone, but you will not talk to her.
Right.
What? I don't think you have good intentions.
No, yeah, I can see that. I mean, I think it ends up being like a nice thing to do, but I think I think you're right. I think his intentions are probably not in the right place. I think it's probably like, look what you're giving up.
Yeah. I know in this week's episode, they ended up like having to talk, right?
Or they saw each other. I think they saw each other at the hospital.
And he like saw her and then just like went over to her family. But he's also offering to like take mom when she gets out of the.
Yeah, but that to me, that's why I think you're right, because that seems like you want this woman, your ex's mother, to stay in your house and you take care of her, but you won't talk to your ex. So what do you expect? You're not going to have to talk to her when you're taking care of her mom?
Yeah, like how long can
or you just cut her out and keep all the information from her? It's just bizarre.
And then he tells, was it Frank that was saying it? Like, oh, he like only speaks so highly of you. He thinks you're so great, blah, blah, blah.
You're one of the guys. I love hanging out with her. She's like one of the guys. That's, I think, what Frank said. I was like, no, it's not very romantic.
Yeah, I remember when the guy dated in high school before we started dating was like, you're like a little sister to me. I'm like, oh, we're never, because I liked him. Yikes. I'm like, I guess this isn't happening.
Yeah.
But he took it back and then we dated and broke up. So maybe I should have just listened in the first place. But no, I just like, how are you going to say all these nice things to everyone? How are you going to do all these nice things to people that are around her, but then act like she doesn't exist?
Yeah, it's very strange.
That is psychopathic behavior, especially for being exes. They were together for what, like 5 years, did they say?
5 years, yeah. 5 years.
What? I've never met this man. I haven't seen him on screen. I don't like him.
He's barely on like any social function. He's been to a couple, but like most of the social functions have been Frank going with Dolores. Yeah. And it really hasn't been David. He's made a couple of appearances and they did live together for a little while. But yeah, it's strange.
I'm not a David fan.
Yeah, I'm not a David fan either. I was never really a David fan. But Dolores has herself a new man now. In real life. Well, like in current times, I mean, there's no fake life, but like in current times. So good for her. They seem happy. Apparently he's Irish, I think, like from Ireland.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. So good
I wonder if David is still in the picture.
I don't know.
I guess we'll find out next season.
I guess we will.
All right. So after we kind of combined like both parts of Dolores's mom situation.
Yeah, that's fine.
But that's okay.
Yeah.
Is the next part when we get Margaret and Jackie having a heart-to-heart?
Yeah, I think they did have. I think in the last week's episode, and I might be
Not
out
Jackie.
of order.
Is it Jennifer?
No, Jennifer.
They have her listed as Jacqueline. Is her real name Jacqueline? Google's never wrong.
Oh, Jacqueline is an old housewife, and then there's Jackie, who's current.
Jennifer's
blonde.
not here. Why don't they have her in this season? Yo, Google's doing me dirty.
This might be an old season.
But I don't know. It says okay, maybe. I didn't put a. All right.
Interesting.
I'm like Jackie. Oh yeah, her name is definitely Jennifer. Got it. I have the right thing up now. I went to Bravo. I didn't trust Google.
That's fair.
Okay. Anyway, go ahead.
They went to the spa and Jackie wasn't invited.
Oh, right. I forgot this.
And happened. I don't think anything really like that interesting happened at the spa, but Jennifer did went to a bagel store with her brother, and those bagels looked amazing. Made me really regret not eating meat, so I couldn't get a bacon, egg, and cheese because I really miss a bacon, egg, and cheese. But that iced coffee, it just like that was so like New York, New Jersey, tri-state area, like bagel place with like coffee and a creamer, even though like creamer's gross. It just all looks so good. But they had a nice heart-to-heart talk. And her brother's so sweet. And I like that we're getting more of Jennifer's story and how she's kind of like going through everything with Bill and how her family's taking it. Sounds like she called her mom and told her mom, and her mom is more angry at Margaret than anyone. And that's kind of like some of the theme that we've been hearing about, this whole affair in general, is that she didn't want her in-laws to blame her. She's doesn't want to be like her mom. Her mom historically has had a lot of issues with her dad. So yeah, I think there's a lot of layers there, but I like that we're seeing this side of Jennifer.
The bagels made me think that, because my partner bought us bagels for breakfast and they weren't toasted. And I was like, did he not get them toasted? Because he knows I don't like toast. And it made me text him that's what that bagel scene made me do. I'm like, did you not get them toasted because of me? And I literally just checked to see if he responded because I forgot. I said that like, well, I thought they'd be toasted. I wish they were. And it's like, oh, shit.
Oh.
You were like, oh, I just want a bacon, egg, and cheese. I'm like, oh, I didn't eat toast this morning. Anyway, that I do like that we're getting. Well, I think that these two episodes in general have been good for Jennifer. Like, yeah,
for sure.
We're definitely getting more of an upswing in terms of positive reaction for her. And I think, and I wonder if she's making the connection, but the fact that she's being forced, being like open and vulnerable about all of this, and how people are now being more on her side as opposed to her just like lashing out because she's been holding this in. Just the whole thing. But yeah, that bagel scene with her brother, because her brother was talking about Provincetown. It was like and stuff. Yeah. I do appreciate that we're getting all perspectives of this. That is the storyline, and because I think it'd be very easy to view it just from the women and like the husband's reaction, but the fact that there is this extra layer because she's had to tell her kids 10 years later and her mom and all that stuff, that I do appreciate how we're getting to see this.
Yeah. And just generally, Jen's family is a bright spot, I think, for her. She's a little rough around the edges, and she's not great with the other women very often. Like, since her first season, she hasn't been great, but she's a really good mom, you can tell. Her kids are all so great. Like, they just seem like great, polite, nice kids. Like, she obviously just really really good kids. And you see a lot with her family. There was a storyline a couple of seasons back where her brother fully came out and her daughter was so supportive of him, and it was talking to their mom because they're Turkish and they're a little, like a little old school. And it's just really nice anytime we get to see Jen's family, because it's such a different side of her that we don't always get to see when she's fighting with the women and being very petty. So it's nice that we get that end.
Yeah, I agree with you completely. So then after the sit down, is that when we get Jennifer and Margaret?
I think that's in the following episode. So that's in this week's episode. Jennifer goes to meet Margaret at another little coffee shop place, and Margaret brings her own creamer. Just that's been confirmed on the internet. She brings a Snickers creamer. She carried it in her purse. That's been like the scuttlebutt on the internet.
That creamer is so good.
Is it good?
Yes.
I don't drink creamer anymore. I used to drink it a lot, but it's like really bad for you. It's like I think there's the same chemicals that are in like cement or something that are in it. So I'm just like, I can't drink this anymore. I could be making that up. Like Mary made up that sparkling water hardens your arteries. I could be making up that creamer has cement in it. So don't take my word as gospel. You can Google me. I won't be mad, like Mary was when Lisa said, I'm going to Google that. But yeah, that I stopped drinking it, but it is always delicious.
I mean, like I said earlier, I have one life to live.
It's true.
And I don't like when my coffee tastes like coffee. So
I like the taste of coffee.
Yeah, I don't think it's like my dad just used to and still does, but like would just brew pots on pots of black coffee and just it's like cheap black coffee. So the smell of it and just it's like, oh, if I can mask the smell and taste of this, then I appreciate the benefits of coffee, even if it means consuming cement.
It's fair. It's fair.
Gotta do what you gotta do.
I want to maybe Google myself and see.
Is there cement in creamer?
Yeah.
I mean, I have some in the fridge. I read the ingredients off.
Okay. Well, nothing's immediately coming up.
Oh, Katie's back on the creamer game. She's gonna go buy some Snickers cream tomorrow.
I just wrote, is there cement in coffee creamer? So I'll just have to I'll have to do a little bit deeper digging.
Let me know what you find out. Actually, you know what? Don't let me know what you find out. That's like the whole. You still eat chicken nuggets? Didn't you watch that?
Oh yeah.
No, I haven't watched a documentary because I enjoy chicken nuggets, and so I don't want to know. Just don't tell me. Just
I hear you.
So, yeah, actually, and give me what you think I need to know. From right. Finish this research. That's what it comes down to.
Okay.
Okay, so now we're finally at where I think that like this really picks up in terms of like something I didn't expect to happen. When I heard that those two were going to meet up with each other, I just assumed it would be like yelling, screaming, name calling, insulting.
Yep. I did not think it would end well.
And it was the exact opposite.
I thought it was very sweet.
Me too.
Yeah.
I just was like very proud of like both of them, I guess.
Yeah. Yeah. It really showed that they're both adults and they're willing to kind of like look past what actually happened and start like dealing with the impact of what happened. And it's nice that Margaret was there for Jen. And it's nice that Jen took it in. You know, it's could have been very easy for Jen to be like, fuck you. And no, I'm not meeting up with you. And I have nothing to say to you, but she didn't. And I think that shows a lot of growth in her. So I'm glad that they did get to go meet up.
Yeah. So essentially what happened was that we had the two of them meet up and they've been like at each other's throats about this
for years and for years before this.
Specifically right now about this whole cheating scandal. And Jennifer basically said, like, I had suppressed this. I hadn't talked about it to anyone. And, like, you bringing it back up has now caused me to have to address this. And, like, I have to tell my mom. I have to tell my kids. I have to tell my family. And now we have to deal with all this. And, like, I'm hurt by it. And it's not going well. and Margaret, oh shit, I didn't realize. I thought it would just kind of be like another one of our like jabs below that I shouldn't have taken. It was like below the belt, but it would just keep it moving. Had no idea of the impact of like what it would be. So I like that she took ownership of it. And I also like that Jennifer was very like vulnerable about all of like what it's caused for her and her family, and they've kind of bonded now because of it.
Yeah, and Jen continues to say she doesn't know if her and Bill are going to make it through it. So I'm kind of rooting for them. You know, I don't think Bill, I think he made a mistake. I think he's continuing to make a mistake by not being there more for Jen. But I would hate to see their family broken up over this, something that happened 10 years ago. That was just thrown out because of a fight.
Yeah. I do hope they figure out a way to figure it out, because the not talking about it, it's like now that it's out, it has to be addressed. Like you can't put that back in its box.
No, you can't.
Toothpaste is out of the tube. Let's deal with it.
Yep. We also at that conversation get a little nugget of, well, how do you know Teresa wasn't digging on Jackie or something like that? And this kind of like carries out into the rest of the episode. Which I thought was interesting. And I don't think Jen really said that. I think Margaret implied it, and Jen didn't say, no, that's not what happened. Which I guess is saying that it did happen, but she didn't say those words, really.
Yeah, I'm a bit confused by this part, I think, because it's like, what is she implying or not implying? Like, what is the thing being referenced here in this? Like, how do you know she wasn't digging? About what?
So I think this is the topic of the conversation is what they were fighting about earlier in the season was that Jen called a girl in Tenafly. Tenafly is really on the map these days, New Jersey, to try and get information on Evan cheating at the gym, which is a carryover storyline from last season where Teresa was just like, no, I heard Evan's cheating, which ended up not being true, I guess. But I guess Jennifer was still digging for information, but everybody was blaming Jennifer for it because Frank had told Bill, I have the same rumors and I know who the girl is or whatever. So that's what Jennifer called Bill and then called this girl in Tenafly, and Margaret found out because her friend. That is a little bit like muddy. But then I guess it came out that like, well, how do you know Teresa wasn't calling? Or it sounded like Teresa asked Jen to dig into it and Jen did it. So Teresa's involved in that somehow.
Got it. Okay. I thought that was it, but I wasn't harmed.
Yeah. Yeah.
Okay. So then when we move on from this conversation, I'm missing something in my memory that I'm sure that you will fill that gap for me. Something happens between them getting to like the tree climbing place. Meets up with you because Teresa finds shit out because Teresa comes in fucking hot to Adventureland.
Yeah, Adventureland. Yeah. Yeah.
So
well, this is because
where are we in between those two things?
Well, I don't know if that necessarily has anything to do with it, but I think Teresa was mad about the guy's outing where Tiki Barber was digging and asking a lot of questions. And she's mad at Margaret for continuously bringing up these rumors about Louis, which she says that she's not, but she is. Even in the scene with her mom, they went out to lunch. All she does is talk about Teresa. She can't get Teresa out of her mouth. So it's like, this is the thing. Margaret's doing her job. She's a housewife, but like, I understand where Teresa's coming from. She continues to bring up these rumors about Louis, and Teresa has made it very clear she does not want to talk about them and not to ask these questions. And thirsty Tracy, who wants to get a full-time tomato, she wants to hold a tomato at the beginning of the season, at the beginning of the episodes, has her equally thirsty husband, Tiki Barber, ask these questions to Louis in the previous episode. It gets back to Teresa, and Teresa is on fire. And she's like, I met this girl 5 minutes ago. Who is she to ask these questions? Like, I don't know her. And I completely agree. And Teresa shows up at this this tree climbing thing. She comes in real hot, and doesn't get any less hot the whole time. And it just made me laugh the entire time. I was just laughing so hard at this whole scene.
Well, Dolores gave everybody a heads up, right? I
think she did.
And she was like, just so you know, like she's angry because of you and you. And Teresa comes in, she's like, there's these two women that I want to throw off these.
Yeah.
It's just like,
yep.
when I messaged Katie being like, sorry, I'm setting everything up for the podcast right now, but it's hard to focus because all I'm reminded of is when Veronica almost died on the episode of The Challenge.
Which is such a good reference.
Who
that
was
was
it that
truly
was like
wild.
trying to unclip
Julie.
her thing? Okay,
Julie.
right.
Mormon Julie.
Yes, Julie was insane and just was literally trying to kill Veronica by
literally trying to murder her.
Yeah. And quite frankly, I could see Teresa doing the same thing.
So. Oh, me too. No question about it. No question.
So yeah, she came in wildin', like straight up.
I loved every second of it. And she's like, I don't get to know who my partner is. I want to know who my partner is. So I'm going to throw you off the thing. She was just like, she was such a baby, like a little baby, but it was just so, I felt like it was warranted. Obviously, it's not the most mature way to handle the situation, but it was entertaining as hell. And like, you know, I'm going to ride with Teresa 100%. Like Tracy is thirsty as hell. Tracy, nobody knows who you are. And Teresa was like, I don't ask her husband questions about like, I heard you were the nanny and you broke up a family and an 8-month pregnant wife. I think she might have said that before the event when she was talking to Dolores and Jen, but she has a point. She has skeletons too. And she's like, I don't ask these questions. I could, but I don't.
Right. No, that's
so
true.
I don't think Tracy knows who she's messing with.
Or she does and is hoping that it gets her to stick around.
Yeah.
Because
maybe.
I have the Bravo cast photo here and Tracy not on it. So.
And I don't think it's going to be on the next one either. Let's hope. Let us hope anyway.
Before Teresa got there, though, we had Melissa and Jen talking about. So Margaret basically filled in Melissa and said, like, hey, she's really going through it, like, and explained why. From their conversation. What did you think of Melissa kind of putting aside her hyper focus on the word crooked to be like, okay, my bad. if you want to talk about it, I'm here for you and I will. And Jen did apologize for.
She did.
She owned that she was like, I was responding, I shouldn't have, and so I thought that was productive. What did you think of that conversation?
I think Melissa's fake as hell. I think Jen was genuine, and I think she's trying to own it and really make peace with a lot of these people. But I think Melissa is fake as hell. Just in everything that she does, I think she's fake as hell. So I think this conversation was fake too. I think she, in that moment, probably realized, oh, I'm going to look like an asshole because I'm really going for this girl who's going through a hard time. I guess I should put it aside. And it felt like it was more self-serving to her than it was to actually be there for Jen.
Do you think that if Teresa had told Melissa that information versus Margaret telling her that information, that same conversation happens?
No, I do not. I don't think so. Because I don't think Melissa and Teresa have any respect for each other whatsoever. So I don't think Melissa would take any consideration into what Teresa has to say.
Okay.
That's just my personal opinion. Maybe. But
I was just thinking, we didn't get a ton of Jackie, but we actually did. And I saw something on the internet about this in terms of like, is Bravo being irresponsible by continuing to include Jackie in this season, or like without her going and getting treatment, as a professional said, like, you need treatment?
Yeah, we should talk about this. We kind of skipped over Jackie's whole thing. So I guess she got a lot of recommendations. She went to a facility to get help with her eating disorder. And they came back with recommendations. And the recommendation was that she go for inpatient treatment. So to live in a facility, and they will help her and provide her with all the resources that she needs. She immediately was like, nope, I don't need that. I don't need that. And then I think the other one was 3 meetings a week.
Yeah.
If it was outpatient.
3 meetings for 3 hours. So 9 hours a week.
Right. Which is pretty intensive, which if a professional recovery center is recommending this to you, that means that you have a problem, that needs serious intervention at this point. I mean, they couldn't even talk about treating her until she got her all of her blood work and her heart checked, because having her eat more and kind of like get back into a regular routine that would be more healthy for her, could have been like such a shock to her system that it could have caused some damage. So that's like at the state that she's in, which is really not a good state. And then they were like, well, we can link you up with some therapists. And she was like, I'm just going to talk to some therapists. She's like, I know what I need and I can't go with my kids and I can't. And that is a really big red flag for me. And I think, you can't help anybody unless they want to get helped. But I hope that Jackie does do the right thing for her. And it seems like everybody around her is supportive. Evan is very supportive and said, you can go, we'll do what you need to do. You need to get healthy. And she's kind of just like poo-pooing it away. I don't know if I would say it's irresponsible. I think it's showing like the true struggles of someone with a disorder like this.
Yeah.
And I mean, you could see it with addiction too. And we kind of see it with Luann sometimes, like Luann has been through it and she continues to go through it, as we've heard in the press. But, they continue to show her story too. And hopefully it'll help people. But I'm just, Margaret, the same thing. She had a conversation with Jackie and she was kind of like, I'm worried about Jackie, but I don't want to push the issue with her. But the professional, like you need to take care of this. But Jackie kind of just shoos away the notion.
I mean, even her husband seems very hesitant to really hone in on the suggestions that the professionals are giving. Because when they cut to a confessional, yes, like, please do this. And he kind of says like, well, if it's like you going there and being there 24 hours a day for however long now, like how much it benefits our future. And she shoots it down. And then even the 9 hours a week, he's like trying to kindly encourage that option. And she shoots it down. Like no one is really kind of putting their foot down, being like, no.
Like you need to do this. Yeah.
Yeah. And I wonder if we'll see more of that, but
I hope so. I hope we do. And I hope she takes into consideration what everybody's saying and realizes that she has kids and she is young and there's a long life ahead of her. And this is a very dangerous thing that she's dealing with. And she needs help recovering. She can't do it all on her own. Otherwise she would have done it already.
And hopefully like upon seeing it back and seeing what other people are saying, that's taken the right way and not as like attacks, but more so we're concerned and she's not like taking the action needed to quell our concerns. So I'm hoping that has a positive effect and isn't detrimental.
I hope so too.
And so I know we kind of like backtracked, but
yes.
I think we kind of got to the end of the second episode with like, we're going to see Teresa, I think, have some firecrackers going at the beginning of next episode.
Oh, yeah. She's already got them going. I think it's going to... we got another to be continued, which like I can't... But it sounds like her and Margaret start to go at it as well. So she's kind of taking her shots at Margaret. She's taking her shots at Tracy. And I thought it was interesting. Dolores was kind of just like watching and Jackie was like, Teresa has a big bite, but Margaret's really the one you need to watch out for. And Dolores was like, oh yeah. And I was like, maybe, but I don't put it past Teresa to get scrappy because she's done it before. She'll do it again. I mean, she flips a fucking table. She throws glasses at the walls. I mean, she like really goes nuts. And it's part of why we love her. Part of why I love her. Anyway.
Okay, so we covered all of our Housewives episodes.
We did.
There's some other random stuff though that's kind of happening that I think is worth bringing up.
Yeah.
So first of all, our biggest fan, Greg.
Shout out to Greg.
Yep.
So loyal.
He is, truly. He asked if we discussed Ebony Williams being on Beyond the Edge. And because he's like, I believe she's a housewife. I saw she was on there. Did you watch it?
No, I have no plans to. But she is on the show, and she was on Watch What Happens Live, promoting it. But she didn't. She's not my favorite. So I liked her on the season that she was on, but then ever since then, I haven't been a fan of her. So, good luck to you, I guess. I hear really bad things about the show. Like I hear it's really god awful.
Yeah, that's what Twitter has implied.
Yeah.
And I am behind on my TV watching. I still have to watch this week's Survivor. I am watching this season.
Oh, great
Last
episode.
season I didn't watch it.
Great episode.
Yeah, like I already know what happens because I don't avoid spoilers. I don't care that much to avoid spoilers. Yeah. So I am interested in watching it. And Atlanta is back. I don't know if you watch Atlanta with Donald Glover. Oh my God. I don't. So good. It's
I've heard great
for
things.
Like 4 years. And
wow, really? That's a long time.
So shout out to Phil T. Him and I have like OG Atlanta fans, and we bond over it. And so
nice.
I am going to watch it. I said I was going to watch them yesterday, but I didn't watch any TV yesterday, so I have to watch those. But yeah, in conclusion, I have no desire to go and watch this show. But she is a housewife, and
yeah, well, maybe she was at least. Yeah, who knows what her future holds?
Well, that's the thing. So, New York, we're getting
big New York news.
We have 2 New Yorks coming, which is kind of crazy to me, but I heard that Luann isn't going to be a part of it. I read
is
that
she not
signed a contract with E, and it conflicts
that's
or
news
something.
to me.
But I don't know how true it is. It was on Reddit. I saw it within the last day or so.
Interesting. But I haven't heard.
Again, take it with a grain of salt. You know, whatever happens on Reddit stays on Reddit, except when we bring it up on our podcast. So, but we're getting made it without Nitro. He was asleep for most of the podcast. But he is up. It's close to the time where we normally go outside. Hey, buddy. So, what, we're getting Legacy in like a new version? Is that how you describe it?
So essentially, and this is so strange to me, but essentially they're revamping Real Houses of New York, and we're getting, it sounds like a whole new cast, all new, of women that are friends, a diverse group of friends from New York City to be the Real Houses of New York, and that'll be the main show. And then we're also getting a legacy show, which I don't know if it has a name yet or a cast, but it's going to be made up of former castmates or current, I guess, that will be moved into the former. So I'm thinking Luann, I'm thinking Ramona, I'm thinking Jill Zarin, I'm thinking some of the all-star Dorinda, I'm sure. Which this seems like a really drastic change to me because we had one really bad season of New York. We've had like 5 really bad seasons of The Real Housewives of OC, and we haven't done a full cast revamp yet. I guess this is like the closest that we came, but I'm just surprised. I'm surprised. There have been a few of these franchises that have gone a little bit into the place of like where we've had some bad Beverly Hills, we've had a number of bad seasons in a row until last season. Atlanta, we had a couple of boring seasons most recently. I heard this season's not going to be, which is really exciting, but because the last 2 or 3 were. Dallas, I mean, pretty much got canceled because every season was bad. OC, the last couple of seasons. I'm just surprised that we're doing this for New York. It seems like a little hasty of a decision.
On why.
Okay.
We're creating the show that's going to cater to the liberal audience of like, we are looking for you to get these problematic people off our TV.
Yep.
But know that the problematic people really drive the viewership on that show because Ramona brings the crazy, because Luann is so caught up in herself. And even, I'm not calling Sonia problematic, but like, she's got her own issues that come to light via TV. Even Dorinda, to an extent, just like, you know what I mean? Like, that we're still going to give you the option to watch them. But if you are choosing to be like a social justice warrior, then you can ignore, they're not a part of this. Whoa, sorry.
Nitro does not like social justice warriors.
Yeah, he likes get the fuck out. So I think it's for that reason. I think it's okay, we hear you, but knowing that they'll lose a ton of viewers if like you do a clean sweep of everybody at the same time.
Yeah, I could see that. I could
be incredibly wrong, but
no, I could see that. I mean, there's been a lot of pressure to fire Ramona. There's been a lot of pressure to fire Luann. I think I think you're right. I think we could do it across the board with some of these women. But I get concerned that the show's not going to be as good. But we'll see. I'm going to watch them both.
Right.
Even if they're bad. I mean, still watching OC, and that's been bad for years. So, I mean, who am I to say I'm not going to watch it?
Right. So that's what.
Just one more show for us to podcast about, unless they're not on at the same time. I kind of imagine they will be, but I don't know.
That would be interesting if they weren't. I would assume they would be too.
Yeah, right.
I would assume to like drive in viewership for the new one.
The new one. Yeah.
And then did you see, I didn't read too much about this just because like I'm not a big Luann fan, but I guess she had like a lapse in her sobriety and like went on Good Morning America to announce it.
She was at a piano bar, I think it was a gay bar from what I understand. And it was a cabaret bar, I guess. I don't know. And she went up to the piano player and took the microphone and demanded that he play Money Can't Buy You Class, I think. And he didn't know the song, obviously, because why would he? And she was like belligerent and she was like yelling profanities at the patrons of the bar, and she got kicked out of the bar, but she was very drunk. And I guess she posted a pretty decent, I guess, I don't know if it was an apology, but just kind of like owned her behavior. I guess it was an apology. She went on Watch What Happens Live. She talked about it a little bit. I guess she went on Good Morning America. I didn't watch it. But she owned up to it. And she was like, recovery is a journey, which it is. But, Luann makes a lot of these mistakes. She takes 2 steps forward, 3 steps back. And it's just disappointing. I hope she just takes care of herself and realizes that she really does have a problem that she needs to deal with. And it's not just like a joke for the show.
To appease people on the show. Look, I'm sober. I personally don't think that she thinks she's an alcoholic.
I don't think she does either. I think she went to rehab because she was arrested and she had to. And I don't think she took it seriously. And then I think, she sees these times where she has problems. Has a problem where, I think in the last season, specifically, she was like, I don't know how I got home a couple of times and I got nervous. And that's when I stopped drinking. But does she ever really stop drinking is the question. I don't know.
Yeah, exactly. So I'm glad you explained that because I just didn't feel like reading more about it.
Fair.
I was going to bring myself to, but that all tracks for Luann.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Yeah. That's just typical
nothing
Luann.
Surprising about what you just said, unfortunately. Yeah. Is there anything else, Housewives, that outside of the shows that we need to talk about?
I heard some drama with Kathy Hilton took place on this season of Beverly Hills, and apparently Beverly Hills will be back soon. May, I think it might start, and apparently the season's really good. And I mean, they say this to us every year, and it's never as good as they say it's going to be. But it sounds like some lines are going to be crossed, like alliance lines are going to change. And Erica and Kathy Hilton had a big falling out, and it sounds like Kathy Hilton might have pulled a Denise Richards, Lisa Vanderpump, and stopped filming. So we'll see what happens there. But I don't know.
All right. And then for me personally, I'm still in Atlanta. But I'm not working this week, so I plan on being done.
Oh, you're taking the week off. Amazing.
Yes, I have a week
Give yourself
off
between that time.
Jobs. Yes. Well, I mean, not to get too far into it, but I would have had, as a teacher, like we haven't had more than one day off besides a weekend since December because of the way our breaks happen, and our spring break this year isn't until like the second week of April.
Oh wow.
So by starting a new job on April 4th, I no longer had the spring break. So it worked out where I was able to take a week. So I was hoping that the trial would be happening for Jen Shaw during this time, because at one point
it's actually supposed to have already started, right? I didn't even realize.
March 22nd. So instead, I will just finish Atlanta. I still love Candy Burris. I think she's my favorite housewife of all of the.
It's a good choice.
Yeah, she's just solid. You know what I mean? Like she has a little bit of everything, and it's weird to me that she's like kind of forgiving Portia.
Yes, agreed.
We're currently in the spot where Portia is pregnant with that
Dennis,
baby, Dennis,
the hot dog king.
Yeah, and they're on a trip and she's hiding it, and so she like drinks her like apple juice, not Hennessy mixture to prove the Nene knows. And that's where I'm at in Atlanta.
So you're close. You're close.
Yeah. I think there's one more season after this.
Maybe one or two, maybe.
Yeah. Greg's really sick. He passed away, correct?
Yes, he did.
I was pretty confident, but I never looked that up. Yeah, and like them not doing the chemo and everything, and so
yeah, not great.
But that's where I'm at in my travels. New Jersey will be after, and then I think I'm gonna go to Miami after that one.
I think I'm gonna do Miami too. I've heard such great things about this current, or I guess it just ended, season on Peacock, and I heard you can kind of just jump in from that season since it's some old, some new. So I'm gonna do that and then see if I feel inspired to go back to the older seasons.
Makes sense. All right. Well, we have covered everything. We did 2 weeks in just under 2 hours. So well, that's not that bad. We did 5 shows plus some.
Yeah, we did 5 hours and 2 hours.
Yeah. I mean, if that's not what you need, then I don't know what is.
Right.
So let's find our banners. Katie, what are you doing on the internet these days? Oh, wrong one. Here we go. Wait, 1 minute left.
Oh.
I clicked that one. There's
Whoops.
Go ahead.
On the internet these days, you can find me at Real Slim Katie on Twitter and on Instagram. You could find me on Twitch at twitch.tv/Real Slim Katie with an underscore at the end. And you can find me on Silent Podcast, podcasting about Big Brother Canada. We have some really exciting guests coming up this season. Isaiah's working some magic to get some really exciting Big Brother Canada guests to come on and chat with us. So definitely check us out if you're into Big Brother Canada. It's been a wild season so far. We have a lot to say, and we're in a great panel. So check us out if you're a Big Brother fan.
Also, happy birthday to the Podfather.
Yes, happy birthday to our Podfather, Isaiah. It's his birthday today. He's definitely celebrating somewhere, living his best life. So happy birthday to him.
Support that entirely. And you can follow me publicly because I'm not a teacher or trying to find a job anymore at KGD26. Although my Instagram is still private because I already had a student find me on there and follow me. Well, so she has her is it Visco, VSCO, right? So she had that link in her bio. So I'm like, let me click to see what she posts publicly there. And 5 of the 6 pictures she's drinking. And I'm like, no.
Oh, no. No. You can't do that.
No. I just don't want to be a part of this life. Sorry.
No.
So that's just sitting there. But yeah, KGD26, interact with me. I don't say anything worthwhile, but I say entertaining things sometimes. And I love a good like or retweet. So we have a ton of stuff being podcasted about on this network, Silent Podcast, where we're anything but silent. So you should be following us. You should be following us on Twitch and YouTube, Silent Podcast, on Twitter, Silent_podcast. Like Katie said, we've got Big Brother Canada. We have Top Chef. We have Survivor. It's South Africa Survivor? No, Australian Survivor.
Australia.
I knew somewhere. We're covering that. Big Brother. I think I just said Big Brother Canada already. When the challenge comes back, we'll be doing that. I don't know. Just we talk about a whole bunch of things, and so follow along. If there's anything you want to hear, let us know. There's probably someone willing to talk about it. But
sure.
Until next time, when we no longer going to be talking about Salt Lake, we're only going to have 2 things to talk about next week. We could probably do next week's in 30 minutes because it'll be one New Jersey
Salt Lake
and one Orange County, and Orange County is trash.
Yes, it is.
So when you catch us next week, it's going to be a much shorter episode, but we promise to bring quality over quantity content.
Yeah.
So
exactly.
But until then, have a good week. We will catch you then. We're here on behalf of Silent Podcast or anything but silent. And see you later. Bye.
Bye.